Welcome back to Tales of Two Bros. I am Angel,
I'm Adan.
and this is our throwback review of Best of the Best. You're the best around. Nothing ever. Wait a minute, that's the wrong movie.
True, I was going to say, like, you might get copyright for that.
Spoiler alert, you should have seen it by now. It's from, it's a movie done in 1989,
True.
but you can catch it on Netflix. It's currently running there. Classic, especially if you're a Taekwondo follower, but that's your discipline. If you like Eric Roberts, if you like James Earl Jones, if you had a crush on Sally Kirkland, if you are a fan of Chris Penn, if you like terrible cinematography and horrible music score, this is the movie for you.
At least you admitted that part.
I never really said this is a masterpiece. There are some bad stuff here.
True,
but
true.
It's still good. And this film spawned 3 sequels, to my knowledge.
Altogether, I would say there's at least 4 for sure.
This movie came out in 1989, like I mentioned earlier. I was 16, 17, depending on, no, it was like, I was like 17, because I remember it came out in the summer.
I was like 5.
Right, and I meant to catch it in the theaters. When I went to the theater that I knew that was playing, it wasn't playing. This sucker went in and out like a person on an enema or took X-Lax. That's how fast it went through.
It just flushed right through.
It didn't last a month in the theaters. I think the week prior, I went to see a movie and I saw that was playing. I said, cool, I'm going to see that next week. So I went and it wasn't playing. And it wasn't like we have today where you go to your phone and you can check up the times. You just took a gander.
Well, back in the day, you could call a theater and get the time, but that was the most you could do.
This was created by Philip Ree, very knowledgeable in Taekwondo. He has a long list of martial arts credentials. Other people like Paul Levine and Max Storm helping with the writing. It was directed by Robert Rattler, who did a lot of direct-to-DVD movies, a lot of episodes like Hercules and Power Ranger stuff. So you can see where this movie is going overall.
Yes.
From there. But the cast, you have the headliner, Eric Roberts. You have Darth Vader himself, James Earl Jones, Sally Kirkland. You have Chris Penn. You know him from when he was alive. He did a lot of stuff like Fist of the North Star. And I think 2 other films. But a lot of people won't know that. Again, there's like movies that I'm mentioning are direct-to-DVD.
And even at that one was questionable about that.
I mean, granted, he wasn't like finesse with his technique, but he had some. It was like he did some training after doing this movie. You have John Dye, did a lot of episodes like Touched by an Angel, Making the Grade, more like straight to DVD, less stuff like that. But if you see his face, you recognize like, oh yeah, that guy. Tom Everett, he's like the assistant coach, the nerdy guy. He's seen them a lot. He's in Independence Day or Transformers. He always plays like the science guy. You have Nurse Ratched from One Who Flew Over the Cuckoo Nest, which is Lois Fletcher. She plays Eric Roberts' mother. You have John P. Ryan. He was in Runaway Train with Eric Roberts. He was in one of the voices for Batman, Mask of the Phantasm. He was in Bound. He was in The Right Stuff. So in this movie, you have legit freaking actors in this. And you notice one actor there that played, what was it, Jason?
Yes. Like one of the extras. Oh, I guess he's not an extra. He was one of the.
No, he's not extra.
One of the guys in the bar fight scene turned out to be the actual. I mean, they alternate actors to play Jason, but he was the main actor to play Jason.
And you have Ahmad Rashad, who's doing one of the sports commentary. Also, for all those martial artists, you have Master Hiel Choi, he's one of the legit Taekwondo practitioners, at the time. And you have James Liu. You know him from
Big Trouble in Little China.
That's right. And you have Simon Rhee, which is Philip's brother, who plays Daehan. You've seen him without knowing it's him, big in the stunt world community. Him and James Liu were also in The Perfect Weapon.
Yeah.
With Jeff Speakman.
He's been in more recent projects too. Like
He's still working.
And
God bless him, because he's not as fit and young as I am.
Yeah, but he's doing more stunt coordinating work. Like he actually I just put up his
fight
stuff.
Choreography.
He's been like on WandaVision, Lucifer, Boss Level, like on Hulu. So he's definitely been doing some real recent projects.
The cast here is legit. be it acting, be it martial arts talent. Let me take that back.
It depends on
For
who
the
we're
most
talking
part,
about.
exactly, because you have certain actors who are hired for their acting skills, but definitely not for their martial arts skills, or they're typecast. Because you have Sonny, who sounds Italian, so he was that part, but his skills were. I haven't seen it in quite some time, and when we were doing the review or doing the watch party on your channel, Nerd Tots, if you remember, I was very excited. I was saying the lines. Kimberly was next to us, and she was getting annoyed by me.
The one thing is his golden rule: don't give any spoilers away, and he's the one giving away spoilers.
Because I'm saying the lines before it happens, or I'm answering questions, not even when she asks. But anyway, I counted about 14 action scenes. Be it small, be it grandiose.
That was a lot more than I thought.
But I just count say they're training, they're running, or
oh, okay. So you're counting like the montages and stuff like that.
The montage, right? The opening credit. You see the school of Koreans doing their kata or they're doing their basics.
True.
So I count that as well. And I count about 40 minutes, which is a lot. And I double checked. It's about 40 minutes. And the movie itself with credits is 137 minutes and 30 seconds. 100? Did I say 130? No. 1 hour and 37 minutes and 30 seconds. Without the credits is about 1 hour and 35 minutes. So you have 40 minutes of action, be it training, be it montage, be it...
I would dare say a good portion of that is to training, though.
You're right, if you break it down, because you have the Koreans training, you have the Americans training, but big sum was in the final scene, the tournament.
Sure.
You have two main, actually three. You have the coach, his history.
Yep.
You have the story of Alex Grady, played by Eric Roberts, the brother of Julia Roberts, and you have
Tommy,
played by Philip Ree, and then you have the rest. You have,
which they don't really go into their stories. They just they're side characters.
You're right,
to expand on everybody else.
Everyone has a different background, a different story, but they come together and become a unit after a lot of animosity towards one another. Really being from Chris Penn Travis, he's the one that's really doesn't want to.
Let's call it what it is. He was racist. He was a bigot.
He was a dick.
He was a dick, but he just focused on the racial aspects when he was being a dick.
Yeah, it was all about him. He wasn't a team player.
Yeah.
Eventually, down the line, he became a team player. It has that Rocky Karate Kid feel of family, of unity, of growing or self-growth.
Yeah.
Well, I will not say all, but definitely from Tommy, Alex, and Travis. Coach too, because he was very stern. But I can understand, watching it again, I understand where he was coming from. He trains his team hard because he doesn't want them to get hurt or seriously hurt in the tournament. So he's looking out for their best interest. It's tough love.
I don't care if they actually lose, as long as they give me everything they have on that floor.
And they're still safe.
And it's like, if they do that, I'll be proud of them no matter what. And I remember as a kid, I remember Tommy being the lead. And then rewatching it now, I'm like, oh my God, it was Eric the entire time.
Well, he was a star power. He was popular back then in the 80s and
a little bit into the 90s too.
Did the Pope of Greenwich Village. He did this. He did Runaway Train with John Voight, who also was directed by the same director.
Yeah.
Also went straight to DVD. So again, that tells you something. It is his story, but I guess that's his vehicle. And then you have that little side story. But it was almost even. It was like Tommy's and Alex's story was somewhat even.
But yeah, they started balancing out. But it started off with Alex
at the car shop.
And then every now and then they'll find a way to bring him back using the child.
Well, let's go real quick.
They focus back with Tommy.
Right. Let's go real recap with Alex's story, and then we'll talk about a little bit of Tommy's and Coach's story in the sense of how they grew. Alex's story, he used to be in the martial arts. He used to be in a tournament scene. He used to compete a lot. Then he got taken out due to major shoulder injury, which he needed a plastic cartilage and a steel pin to keep it together. That took him out. His wife passed away. His mom was helping him raise his child. And then he has the opportunity to compete representing USA in this major tournament happening. And that's where his real true self came alive, where he was working at the car plant just to provide for his family. And it wasn't something that he loved to do, but he did it. Then you have Tommy, who we catch him as a martial arts instructor, training kids, and has a very successful school. And he's also invited to the tournament. We come to find out a little bit later that he has a past. And that past is that he witnessed his brother being killed in a tournament. similar to what they're about to compete in. And then he comes to find out the person who killed his brother
Is on the opposite team.
and he has to face him because their skills are matched.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll go back to that a little bit later. Well, we'll talk about now because of coaches.
Yeah.
Coaches has an issue, or his issue is that he's fighting an uphill battle because what he thinks is right for the team, the sponsors, the committee is against him. There could be a lot of reasons why. We don't know the whole story, but we do know that it's his way or the highway. And the sponsors, the money providers, want something else. Kind of like how movies are done a lot of times. You get a director, you have a writer, you hire them because you like their work, but now you want to change the story. Now, since you have the money, you want a different way. You want this person to be the lead. You want, instead of being in New York City, you want it in sunny Florida. Things of that nature. He has that going on. But also, can't say he's responsible, but he was the coach of the team that Tommy brother was killed in. So he has that guilt. And that's why he's so hard, because he doesn't want that to happen again. But that being said, you and I have a problem with the editing of that.
How we discover
topic.
that.
So you see those main three characters grow, where the coach becomes not so stiff. You see Alex find another family with the team, another father figure, things like that, a stronger bond with his son. And you see Tommy getting over his fear.
And mind you, it's not fear of having to face the guy. It's the fear that once he does face the guy, he's going to end up killing the guy in retaliation for his brother's death.
Especially because it goes against his teachings.
Yeah, he's pretty much like a pacifist, oddly enough.
But you can see where that's coming from, where he's the embodiment, of his teachings. You saw that in the bar fight that he does. He had to fight. He didn't want to.
And he told him, he's like, I don't want to fight you guys.
Right. And at the end of the bar fight, he's like, I hate this. He hates being put in that position. Now, do you want to talk about the good or the bad?
The good will probably be a little bit quicker because, it's not, and like we said, it's not necessarily a bad movie, but there's certain aspects that just don't hold up. But we're going to talk about the good first.
Now, like I said, I like this movie. I think I'm the only one during our watch party. I like the movie.
You're the only one that gave it a higher score than 3 out of 5.
The reason being is the nostalgia, the connectivity, because I could relate, especially more after the fact when I was competing and I had an injury. So granted, this movie came out way before my injury, but that connection still holds. Still some good moments, some comedic moments, especially from Chris Penn. Mm-hmm. And from Eric Roberts. Eric Roberts had some jokes there too. And the martial arts. It was great.
And we should say the martial arts is not like a Jackie Chan or like fantastic martial art thing. Mm-hmm. It's very grounded in actuality. I will say and it really shows for the ones that are like true martial artists that are fighting, you can absolutely tell the crispness of their techniques.
Yeah, especially from Philip Rhee and Simon Rhee. Philip Rhee, he reminded me of Donnie Yen. He has that charisma. He has that it factor when he performs. Donnie Yen is different. He's definitely on a higher level, but when
Philip Rhee moves... I was going to say, Donnie Yen is a little bit up there, bro.
No. Yeah, but Donnie Yen's been doing it longer because he's been performing since he was like a teenager. But what I'm just saying, the way he moves, you can see that he's 100% legit. Everything he does is with accuracy, and you saw that with his brother, Simon playing Dae-han. And especially in the Korean team, all of them were legit martial artists. Granted, they were all not Korean. You had a Chinese actor there, James Liu, Chinese martial artist. Let's go into the likes. And you can agree or disagree. The first tournament, the audition for the U.S. team, when you had you had Philip.
That was a good introduction of the characters.
Good introduction, yes. That's where you see who these characters are. I know you have a problem with Eric Lee's stance. I kind of like it. It kind of falls into the Karate Kid crane stance. He made it his own.
Well, it was like he would do this, right?
Right, the hands up and the foot behind the leg.
That's like kickboxer.
Right, but it was also like, I will suck your blood.
Yeah.
Like a Dracula kind of thing.
Knowing the styles, it did not seem practical to me. And it didn't seem like an actual thing.
But I think it was more like he will do it to start, like almost like a bow, and then he'll get into his stance.
It just didn't make sense to me.
On that one of the training montages when they're hitting the trees,
hitting the trees, the waterfall. The Korean montage was actually better than the American.
A lot better.
Yeah, than the American.
It was a lot better compared to the American, because the American side was more with science.
It was Rocky IV.
Exactly right. Where the Americans are using the technology, where the Koreans
using nature.
Traditional.
Yeah.
But that scene where they're hitting the trees and it's in like a slow mo, and after they hit and they just stay there focused, the snow falling off the branches, it was just hot. Then you have the comparison, like you said, with the meditation, where they go under the waterfall and they meditate, getting hit with that cold water, trying to take their mind off the cold, try to focus on their emptiness. Or you have Wade, Sally Kirkland's character, trying to teach the team to meditate through yoga's training, and Travis not giving a care about it at all. So he's, and it was kind of funny where she's trying to tell Alex after he got his shoulder injury or re-injured, there's no pain. And he's like, bitch, there's a lot of pain here. Do you see what I'm doing? I'm crying as I'm trying to fight.
It's nothing but pain.
Like, he was in agony, which is a scene I could relate to, and I'll explain to that later. The fight gear I thought was kind of cool in the tournament.
Yes.
The fight gear.
Because it was like part of the actual gi and uniform. And
actual gi uniform, it has similarity to kendo, like the chest gear almost.
And they use authentic gear and like for the hands and the feet, which a lot of like martial art movies, when they go to a tournament, they don't actually use the actual gear.
Right. But they also had like the forearm protectors. Which they saw, which was white, and their hands were black. Their gloves. And that reminded me, and it could have been, maybe, I'm not sure, but a tribute to Bruce Lee in the opening scene of Enter the Dragon, where he's wearing black gloves and the attachment is white on the forearms, of the upper forearms.
I don't remember that part. I remember black gloves.
I'm not sure if that was the case, but I think it was. Or it just gave a nice look to it, especially with the black gis.
Yeah.
And the white arms, and with the black gloves for the U.S. The final match with Daehan and Tommy was freaking hot.
Yes.
The movement, the exchange, the back and forth. Just saw two people at the height of their talent. And it felt freeform. It didn't feel planned. Maybe since they're brothers, they probably played around for years with the back and forth, doing the movements, and it felt like second nature to them. It was weird how they scored, because they had the judges on the side holding the flags for the red and the white,
and then they would allot points, and they were earning points. So yeah, their scoring system was not like your traditional base scoring system.
The corner judges, those are usually meant for point fighting.
Correct, which they were earning points, but then their scoring of their points was where it was weird, because like tournaments you can get like a single point for a body. Then like 2 points for a head, and if you do like a certain maneuver, it's like 3 points.
But usually when an exchange happens, they usually stop,
and they give only one set of points.
They count who has the point. They go they have 5 judges, the 4 corners, and the center judge.
Yeah,
and the majority wins the votes. Granted, it was more done for
theatrics,
cinematic reasons, because like in the Olympics, you have Taekwondo, and their chest gear has sensors.
True.
It's sometimes hard to see it, but they get hit, and then it gets computerized, or the results get into a computer, or like fencing as well. You have here, beginning of that tournament, Korea, their team all their athletes are Taekwondo.
Yeah.
But the U.S. had a mixture of karate, hapkido, Taekwondo. So our team, the U.S. team, had a different skill set, where the Korean team had one specific skill set of Taekwondo, which was kind of fair and unfair, if you will.
True.
Like I said, there are some comical reliefs here, and it mainly came from Travis. And I liked in the tournament when this tie, and they had to go through the breaking. And Tommy and Travis.
Okay, that one I give you. I'll give you that one.
Travis breaks his, and then the Korean breaks his, and it's obvious who it was. It's obvious
clear. It's like it's by like 1 or 2 bricks, but it's very clear.
Right. Travis's has 3 bricks unbroken, and then the Korean has 2 bricks unbroken. and it's clear where they're at. But the judge, he does the gesture to count, and then Travis is like, "Why are you counting them for?" It's like rubbing salt on an open wound. It's just
Exactly.
like,
And you
but
can
it
see,
was
like, he gets off the stage where they were competing, and you can literally see him, like, start crying. I'm like, that's literally, now that's the most real I've seen his character be. I can see that in a tournament. Like, if someone started counting them and it's a clear win, anyone that's out there is going to be like, yo, they're going to feel so hurt, and they will start crying, and especially in a tournament of that nature. So that was the most authentic moment. It's funny, but that was the most authentic moment.
I can relate. You can relate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've competed, and not necessarily with breaking, but with anything, something like that, where you know that you didn't get it, but they still gotta follow the rules.
You know, they still have to go through the process, and you're like, it's a clear, come on.
But with Chris Penn's adding that little, you can hear the hurt.
Yes.
You can hear the hurt in his voice, and it just makes it funny in that way. Like you said, there was in the moments there's some groundness to it.
Yeah.
You can see this happening in a real fight, especially with a person who's been trained and has legit technique, but you have the footwork and that technique, like I said. But also with injury, when Alex gets his shoulder dislocated again.
Yep, in there.
So have I. Now, granted, I never have gotten my shoulder dislocated, but I have dislocated my hand.
I did both my shoulders. Yes.
Oh, I didn't know. Okay, that's news to me.
Not at the same time.
Well, good. you'd be fighting like this. You'd be like that guy running from the Goldbergs, like the older brother who runs with his arms.
Yeah.
But no, with me in one tournament I was training for, and we had to do breaking. That's one of the competitions. During the training for breaking, I injured my right hand. We went to the
Wait, wasn't it in Japan?
This happened right before Japan. I was in.
Because you had to cast while you were in Japan and still competed.
Correct. So I was in New York for our tournament, and you had to qualify breaking a certain amount of boards first, and then you can advance to another type of breaking. During the training, I injured my strong hand. I come in with that injury, nothing's broken yet, nothing's dislocated. I was practicing breaking with my left hand, but wasn't going right. I wasn't confident that I could break through the boards, because the thing was, it was 3 1-inch boards, no spacers.
Okay, yeah.
Which is pretty thick.
And for anybody who doesn't know, that's actually harder than doing like a cap lock. Because I broke cap locks before, and I would be more intimidated by 3 1-inch boards with no spacers.
I wanted to be Sogo champions. And Sogo champion for that tournament, which was a Seido tournament, which is the style I trained in and taught. You get the top positions, winning positions, you become Sogo champions by points. So if you get first, second, third, you get points for that, and then they add the points at the end.
It's like MVP.
And it's kata, kumite, and then breaking. Even though I was practicing with my left hand, I didn't feel confident, so I said, screw it, I'll go with my right hand. And then when I did it, I broke through the boards, but my second bottom knuckle stuck out. It dislocated. It didn't break skin, but it just popped out. And so now, like, my knuckles, I don't know if you can see, my knuckles are flat, where compared to here, my left hand, it rises up.
Yeah.
Now this is broken from a different fighting incident, but you see how this rises, where this is flat, almost like a board in a way.
Yeah.
I walk away immediately because I know I hurt my hand. Everyone sees it, the audience, the judges, whatever, blah blah blah, and they're like, "What's wrong?" It's like I stuck my hand, and then you can see that big ass bump sticking out. It was pretty nasty. Instead of like what Alex says, "Pop it, Tommy, pop it," I didn't say just wrap it up. I still want to compete. No, Angel, no, you don't have to compete. No. Don't worry about it. You have nothing to prove. It's like, I want to continue. They were still doing the qualifications with the other competitors. Got a makeup splint with a broken piece of wood from the breaks. They put ice on my hand. They wrapped it up with ace bandages. Even though they were trying to tell me not to do it, even the doctors that were there, and it's like, this, dude, don't worry about it. It's like, I want to break. Now, after you qualify, you get a chance to break as many boards as you want. Now, I never broke with my left hand in a downward chop before. Never. I said, give me 5 boards. I got my hand ready. I got the boards all stacked up. And just like a freaking movie, my girlfriend at the time, she was working the tournament, the
Mm-hmm.
sales, whatever. She was helping out. I looked at her. She looked at me. She just gave me the nod. Like, you got this. And I went through and I broke through the 5 boards with no problem with my non-dominant hand. And it broke. I was like, wow. But everyone's like cheering, blah, blah, blah. Kind of like a Karate Kid
Yeah.
kind of thing. Like, woo-hoo. Because they all saw the drama that led up to it. Now, granted, I did win Sogo, but I didn't get the trophy because I went straight to the hospital. I got the trophy later. That's my story. Now, go ahead.
So I'll be quick.
You have 2 shoulders. You have two
Two
shoulders.
shoulders. So I dislocated this one like 3 times, and then this one like once. So
what the hell, dude? What were you doing? Driving into a truck? Or
no.
running into a truck?
So the first time, actually 2 of the times was with the same guy. We were sparring back when I did Taekwondo, and the first time he just happened to hit my elbow as we were sparring, and it was like the weirdest thing because I just felt my shoulder just go like up and down, and it's dropped. My instructor stopped the match and he goes, "You know what just happened, don't you?" And all I could feel like was this little bit of weight. I did not feel any pain, honestly. And then I go, "My shoulder just dislocated, didn't it?" He goes, "Yes, it did." And this was in front of all the kids' parents too, because it was like an open forum day. And all the parents were like, "Oh my God." And second time, also when I was fighting with this kid sparring, I say kid, he was a teenager. And it happened again. And his name was Ali. And I'm like, "Ali, man, you got to stop dislocating my shoulder, especially in front of the parents."
What did he do the second time?
It was the same thing. We were just sparring and he just hit my arm just right. All the times that I dislocated never hurt. What hurt was putting it back in.
Nerve?
Right. Because my instructor, since it was my first time, he's trying to figure out like where the bone fell. He tried to do it like Lethal Weapon style.
He threw you against the wall?
He had my back against the wall and he tried to shove the bone back in.
Oh.
The thing moved and it hit the nerve, and I just felt pain radiate through my entire body from my shoulder. Well, it's not going in that way. And then he turns to me, he's like, "You ever seen the movie Best of the Best?" And I was like, so I'm like, "So you're Tommy?" He goes, "Yep." He gets on the ground. And he grabs my arm and he pops it in just the same way Tommy did. Everybody was freaking out when that happened. And then the second time,
did you scream?
No. After the nerve shot, it didn't hurt at all. The other time it happened with Ali, my instructor wasn't there, so I had to. I'm like, "Ali, you popped it. You put it back in." He goes, "What?" I'm like, "I'm not going to the hospital, man. I'm not paying for this bill. You're putting this back in." And so I gave him my arm. And I said, "The only difference is because you haven't done this before, go slow." And like,
but slow. Sometimes you can't go slow. Yeah, sometimes you have to go. Well, it depends on
it's not like an
severity.
arm. Like you're in the position like an arm bar, but he's just like pulling, really.
Pulling it out, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And so he's just more straightening his legs and supporting it with his body. And when he did
was
that,
Tommy point 2.
yeah, exactly.
2.0?
I just felt it. Like you ever pop your knuckle? It was like that. I could just feel it like just roll and pop right back into place. The funny thing was, we did that in front of the kids and their parents because there was like the open floor. I was like, "I'm not gonna go to the office and lay down on the floor in the office." I'm like, "Just do it here." Especially one of the parents is like, "I'm getting ready to call the ambulance," and he was a cop. I'm like, "I know he'll get it there." I'm like, "I don't have the bills for that." Then all of a sudden, I hear everybody going, "Oh my God!" and they're like, "I saw it roll through the gi." I'm like, "Really?
Oh my God!
Really, you
dude.
did?" And they're like, "Yeah, it was so." And when the guy who was a cop, he's like, "That was the worst thing I've seen in a long time."
It didn't hurt you? It didn't bother you?
No.
Wow.
This one though did hurt because I was training and hitting a bag, and I just did a spin back fist.
Oh, you hit it wrong.
And then what happened was it popped, rolled, and popped right back in instantly. Like I could feel it. Like just I don't know how it did it. It just went over, rolled, and popped back in.
Dude.
I got the pain, and then my entire right side, all the way to my fingertips, was numb. I couldn't feel a thing for like a solid 10 minutes. I remember like back in the day, you used to like meditate and whatnot. Like when that happened, I told my instructor, "Man, I need some time." I didn't cry out or anything. I just walked off to the side and I just sat there. I need to make a fist, and I could barely make a fist. And I'm like,
So were you telling yourself to make a fist?
yeah, I was just
So,
focusing.
so basically, you were the bride telling to move your big toe.
Yes,
Wiggle your big toe. Wiggle.
because I honestly, I could, if I was closing a fist, unless I was looking, I couldn't tell. It was just weird. Like, that's how numb it was.
Oh, wow.
And then like all of a sudden I started feeling it, and I'm like, okay, cool. And I'm like, let's go back at it.
I knew you dislocated your shoulder as in singular. I didn't know you did it with 2 shoulders and 3 times altogether. I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, and it was like all in like the last 1 to 2 years of my martial arts, and that was when I was like, I may be done, because I went all my life without getting major injuries. I would get injuries here and there. I wasn't getting medical from doing that work. Yes, so I digress. We got into our own little tangent.
No, but that's how, for me, when I see that scene,
yeah,
I can relate. I have that connection.
And my connection was literally through the shoulder, just like his. His was more painful because he had surgery on it.
Correct.
And like a dislocation with a surgery, I couldn't imagine that kind of pain.
Right, because there's a metal rod there. So
yeah,
it could have, I never really thought about it until just now, because you're saying, because that could have broken bone. Like it could have taken.
That's why when you say like pop it and he's like like reassign it and to break, when I was rewatching that movie, like back in the day, I was just thinking dislocation, but rewatching the movie, and I remember them saying that he has surgery and that's why he has a scar. I'm like, so, that was probably more than just a dislocation. That was probably like torn ligaments and actual damage.
Bone splinters.
Yeah, because it wasn't like a mine injury. It was like the guy literally did like an axe kick and like targeted his shoulder.
Not weird, but in the videotapes they were doing, the tape study of each opponent, he does that kick during his breaking skills.
Yes,
he does a jumping axe kick, same thing he did to Alex, but he did it to Bricks.
Foreshadow.
All right, well. Is there any other scenes that you like?
The bar scene was fun. It made me question like the martial arts skills of some of the fighters.
Heavily. Yes.
That's a great scene to show someone, to show like, okay, this is you can tell who's a trained martial artist and who had like sufficient choreography versus who weren't. You could break it down, and I would show that to anybody. Be like, if I want to do a movie, and I'd be like, this is like the pros and this is the cons all in one scene, and this is why I would want to break it down this way.
Tommy, Philip Ree, that's the one that's trained. And then you have questionable, Eric Roberts, Alex, and Travis, Chris Penn.
Again, questionable because they look. Chris Penn looked like he was a brawler.
But there was some technique there here and there. Sonny and Virgil. And
Eric Roberts didn't really do much in the fight because he was mostly in the phone at the time.
Right.
He comes out and does a clothesline on someone.
No, he actually throws a punch. He knocks someone out. He doesn't clothesline. He throws a punch. And then someone grabs him and he does that little arm around. Yeah. And then hits the guy. And then he does like a side kick, throwing some guy off through a window. Mm-hmm. What I liked about that was that's where the bonding started to happen.
Early.
They became a team right there. They got each other's back, excuse me. But now, and I still like this, but now the bad stuff. The downgrade.
The music does not hold up, bro. I'm sorry.
I 100% agree. The music is horrendous.
It's not just dated. It was bad even then. And we just overshadowed it with like we got a movie like this.
No. I remember the music being bad.
Oh, you remember it being bad?
Oh, yeah, but I just got reminded how bad it was.
Oh, okay.
The only thing that was good was in the tournament with the opening with the drums.
Yes.
And the final fight that had some good music for that. But they were trying to make music like with the songs like almost like Rocky-esque or Karate Kid.
Or even like when the kid was in the hospital. Yeah, the music just didn't fit the mood.
It missed the mark.
It's like the sound score guy was like, you didn't read the room, man. You didn't read the room. Speaking of which, there was plot holes. For one, they showed a flashback, and which we thought was at first just like Tommy remembering. And then it shows that it was like Coach rewatching the footage of Tommy's brother being killed. And Coach is like, make sure no one sees this video. And then they come back later on and he's like, I was his brother's coach.
He goes, you saw the tape? I was there. I was like, wait a minute, then you should know all this.
Exactly.
There should be no question and a doubt that you know who Tommy is. You know Tommy's history. That flashback should have been just for Tommy.
Exactly. we can see the discovery of that footage later on.
Well, no, meaning that Wade gets the hold of the tape showing that tournament, and then we find out through that when she confronts Coach, he was there. It's like, oh snap! So that's why he's like that.
Yeah.
Or
just taking out that one little 3 minutes would have been perfectly fine.
Yeah, it wasn't even 3 minutes. It was like a minute. The way he made it seems like he wasn't there at all.
Yeah.
Like they found it. Like someone gave him this.
His assistant did the discovery, and then he's like,
right,
hide this, since this is new information.
Right, exactly. It was like new information, but it's not. It was something that Coach knew
from the get-go. And then the son from leaving the hospital, getting to the tournament, and
within a week or so,
within a week,
had a coma.
The son
came out of a coma.
The 5-year-old son, which looked older than 5-year-old, by the way.
He talked so good.
He was literally hit by a car, or he was in a car accident, to be precise, on his bike. He had a broken leg, maybe a broken arm. He was in a coma.
No, he had a broken arm. He had a cast on his arm.
Oh, he had a cast on his arm. And then, they were like, he's in a coma. We don't know how long it's going to be. Eric Roberts' character only had 3 days to get back. And he was like, I'm like, wow, I think the coma only lasted maybe 24 hours at most. And then they go to the tournament. We gave them the benefit of the doubt and said, maybe they had a little bit of a week to, recuperate or anything like that. But then the kid's there with a crutch, not even a wheelchair, clapping. For his
more cast.
No more cast. Looked like he just got a brush of a scrape. And I'm like, wow, that is the fastest recovery I've ever seen and fastest rejection from a hospital.
Right. Granted, I was giving a defense to that. It's like they had 3 days to leave for Korea.
2 days after he woke up, giving him the benefit of the doubt, that was 1 day.
Right. And then I was like, well, maybe there was some time, maybe a week's time for the U.S. to get used to the travel, the jet lag. Maybe it was 2 weeks. I don't know. Doubt it. But a kid with a broken leg, a kid who had a broken arm, who was in a coma. I doubt that the hospital let him go.
Much less to go on a flight for for half a day.
Unless they gave him really good medicine. If you have common sense, you'd be like, wait a minute. That makes no sense. And the cinematography it looked like it was made for VHS.
Yes.
It looked like it was made for direct-to-video.
And this was the surprising part was we talked about the budget. Back then the budget was estimated at $5 million, and the fact of the matter is it did look like it was made.
I think you said it was more than I'm Gonna Get You Sucker.
Yeah, budget estimated $5 million. It tanked hard because in the U.S. opening weekend, and this is U.S. and Canada, it got 990,000 between U.S. and Canada, and then gross worldwide was 1.7 million. So it did tank. It did not make a profit. I agree in the sense that it looked like it was meant for VHS when you're watching it. So people will come out, they'll see that, and they'll be like, nah, we're good.
But granted, back in the 80s, a lot of movies looked like that.
But there were also a lot of good quality movies.
No, you're right. No, you're right there too. No, in the 80s, there was a lot of movies coming out to the theaters, left and right. A lot of the quality was not good. A big following due to Blockbuster and the rentals because it gave us 3 more sequels.
Oh no, it definitely was a cult classic. It became a cult classic.
Right, and part 2, I don't think it ever went to the theaters, but the quality in part 2 is that much higher.
Yes.
Sound quality, the music. Well, I can't remember the music, but I know the cinematography, the lighting.
Give you an example of what I mean by budget versus everything else. Terminator, which came out before this movie, had a budget of 6.4 million. It's still higher, but not by much. Yeah, they shot that, and they shot that on a guerrilla schedule. And they cut corners all over the place.
Terminator 1, right?
The very, very first one.
The first one.
And then...
But if you look at the quality of that, too, the quality is not that much different or better.
By slightly, yes, but the music, the story, the effects...
You're right on that.
Everything was better. And
you're right. You're right. You're right. Definitely. That better story, better acting, better action.
Better lighting.
But the quality is still relatively the lighting is the lighting is not that much better because it had to be dark.
There was a reason for that. They didn't pay for the lighting.
It was natural.
Yeah, they actually they drove around and they didn't get permits and they found streets that had
that's guerrilla filming.
Yeah, they did guerrilla filming and they're like, okay, we're gonna go there. real quick, let's do our shot. Arnold,
Oh
like
yeah,
when
one or
the
two
shot
takes.
when like he was smoking from like getting a shot, and they actually just tossed acid on his coat. So they were
Yeah,
guerrilla
that I
filming like
remember.
crazy on that movie.
But also that one when he punches through the windshield.
Yeah, that was really him.
No, that wasn't him. That was a hydraulic.
Oh, really?
One take, and they had like a painted brick wall that they just moved.
That works.
That was all it was. They just moved. So the car is still. He is still. All they did was time it, his shoulder, and then his hydraulic arms right there, and boom, one take. It was like Star Wars. You work with the budget you had, and you made the best out of it. So
Exactly.
that's why Star Wars: A New Hope is so damn good in that aspect of special effects and guerrilla type of filming.
But either way, like the movie's iconic for a lot of things. It's just that it missed the mark on a lot of various categories, and that's why it hurt it for me.
Watching this again, I guess twice and within a week, I just find it, granted for movie's sake, how come there's no subs? Like in sports, you usually have more than one athlete. Like say a basketball, you have 5 players, right? Then you have a second string and a third string.
They did say that there was an alternate, but they don't show the alternates. Because when they were getting ready to kick out Eric Roberts' character, they was like, "Get the alternate ready," but they never showed them training. They never showed them.
Really?
Because remember, they didn't want them back on the team.
We don't see them.
Yeah, they're in the shadows. You never see them.
You never see them. You just see the assistant coaches, which I find kind of funny too, because the assistant, the science, the tech guy, he's doing all the work. The assistants are just there just to stand. He comes in carrying their uniforms. Why is he doing that? You have 3 assistants to him standing there. They should be doing that. Or they should be having a gear guy for that. But this guy is wearing multiple hats. He's the stats. He's the assistant. He's the tech guy. He's the gear guy. I was like, damn, this guy is getting underpaid and overworked. Anyway, I mean, I still enjoy it. The story is still there. The story still holds up. If they did like an anniversary DVD where they redid the score and the music, and then they could up the quality of the lighting, the film quality, and made it letterbox, because on Netflix it's like 4:3 squared, just like it was for a TV.
Yeah,
the CRTs. So if they did a letterbox, I would definitely buy it again, especially if they did like a reunion kind of thing. Maybe,
that'd be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love that. I would definitely love that. I believe I do own Best of the Best 2. I can't remember, which we should probably do a review because we can see how better the quality of that film. And some of the martial arts is pretty damn good too.
Overall, I would say time-wise, like nostalgia is where it's going to be strong on. For those of us who've seen it back in the day, it's going to be strong with the nostalgia. If you're new to it, you're probably going to be one and done. For those of us, if you have the strong nostalgia with it, it's going to be a multi-fun.
So for you, would you, I mean, you probably own it because you have it.
I do own it, yeah.
Yeah.
I own it, I just never watched it.
Yeah, you're kind of like a klepto in the sense of not stealing, but buying.
I'm a collector.
Just gotta buy it. With me, I own it and I watch.
You would be like ready for purchase if they came out with a re-release.
Oh, if they did a re-release, I would definitely buy it. There you go, guys. That's our throwback review of Best of the Best. Until next time, will be the next time. I am Angel.
I'm Adan.
Love you, bro.
Love you.